Hi there, I'm Karen Marie, psychic channel and astrologer, and this is Psyched Up for Sunday, December 13th, 2020. So, we are on the eve of a new moon solar eclipse, which happens, it's exact at around 10 a.m. Austin, Texas time in the morning tomorrow on Monday, December 14th. So solar eclipses you can feel beforehand. So you may already have been feeling this energy and it sets the cause for the next 6 months. Usually new moons are the beginning of the lunar transit and it sets the cause for the next lunar cycle, which is about a month, 28 days. In this case, we're not only setting the cause for this next lunar cycle, we're also setting the cause for the next 6 months of our life. More than that, we have so many powerful planets in the sky doing a change up this week. I'm going to go into detail about all these different planets and asteroids and how they're dancing with each other in the skies and how that might be affecting you. It reminds me, I live here in Austin, Texas, and we have the Austin City Limits Festival, and they'll have a band going on this stage and a band going on this stage and a band going on this stage, all playing at the same time. You have to pick which one you're going to go to. And so there are so many different factors that can be impacting your life right now. If we just had the eclipse by itself, it would be a powerful week. But no, we have more. So I'm going to dive into the astrological transits for this week and give you my interpretation of what I see going down and how that might be affecting you. So we've been having square offs with Neptune over this last week. So it may have been sort of a fuzzy time. We've also had Saturn at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So Capricorn, Saturn's been in Capricorn since December of 2017. So think back over the last 3 years and what was going on in your life 3 years ago when Saturn went into Capricorn. So the 29th degree of any sign is the wrap up, sort of the summation where you take your final exam. So Capricorn is the sign of the government, of institutions. It's also the sign of father, the male patriarchal energy as well. And so these themes have been coming to a head. I've seen it in my life so clearly over the last week. Power grabs and people who want to have power and control over others just really like showing up left and right. I see it out in our nation playing out, and I've seen it in my personal life, and you may have seen it in yours. People with control issues trying to control you, just trying to hold on to their last um, vestiges of power and control over other people. And you may be feeling that yourself. If you're someone who's just been trying to hold on and control someone or something else, you may just be at your wits end as well. It's wrapping up. So it's bringing to conclusion. You could have someone come back into your life that was a player 3 years ago around this time of the year as well. So just heads up on that front. So the solar eclipse is happening in Sagittarius at 23 degrees. So Sag is about higher learning. It's the guru sign, the sign of the guru. It's also the sign of foreign travel and higher learning. And so Sag in the later degrees, anything in Sag in the later degrees is going to be highlighting these issues. So the sun and the moon will be at the same place in the sky, 23 degrees. I think it's in Chile and another place in South America, you can actually see the solar eclipse happening. We won't be seeing it here, but we can feel it. It almost is like when something sucks the breath out of everything for a while. We'll have a calm moment. It can be really eerie. It can be very spiritual. It's a portal point. Eclipses are portals. People come in and go out on these eclipses. New things can come into your life in powerful, surprising, unexpected ways. So you can have insights as well. Since Sag rules higher learning and spiritual knowledge, you can have just some spiritual ahas as well with this eclipse. But it's a good thing on any new moon to just put into motion, hold your thoughts around what new thing you want to start or create in your life. And again, in this place, you're going to be holding the thought for what you want in your life over the next 6 months in just this little aspect. So Jupiter is at 28 degrees. So it's 1 degree off of Saturn. Saturn's about to, they're both going to be leaving the sign of Capricorn this week and moving into Aquarius, which should feel like a lift off. They're moving from an earth sign. These are outer planets that don't move very quickly, but they're within 2 days of each other. I believe it is on Thursday that we'll be having Saturn goes first into Aquarius. And then right behind that on Saturday this week, we'll be having Jupiter going into Aquarius. So for the next few days, though, before that, they're both Jupiter moves into the 29th degree as well. I think that's by Tuesday. So we're going to have a couple days of super intensity. Jupiter expands things, and Saturn is our structures, our rules, how we form things. It's the stop sign. It's where we set up boundaries. And so with Jupiter expanding this, it could really be just these last vestiges of control. And then when they move into Aquarius, Saturn did go into Aquarius earlier this year. It went in March. It was there from March to July before it went retrograde back into Capricorn. And when it first went into Aquarius, now Aquarius is an air sign and it represents humanity, among other things. And Saturn, the rule maker, when it went into Aquarius earlier this year is when we found out about the pandemic, and there was a shutdown, right? So we had the shutdown at the end of March. Things began to shut down into April. So there could be sort of a revisit of that, especially with Jupiter going to be right there behind expanding that. So there could be some sort of government control. The other thing that happened when Saturn was in Aquarius was when the Congress passed the legislation for all humans to get paid. All human beings that had paid their taxes in America got paid. So it was something for humanity. We've been at a not being able to get anything passed in Congress. I think as they go into Aquarius, it will be the shift that we're needing to have some change made in our laws and the decisions that are made instead of around Capricorn, our stuff, that the laws will be made around Aquarius and the people. So, Aquarius is two squiggly lines, and I see that as like people vibing together and working together. So Saturn will take about 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years to transit completely the sign of Aquarius, and Jupiter takes about a year to transit a sign. So we'll have these outer planets in Aquarius for 2021 as well. So Pluto is still going to be staying at last degrees of Capricorn for the next few years. I believe it goes into Aquarius in 2024. There's some back and forth action. It does some retrograde action, but it is transforming. Pluto is death and transformation. So it has been transforming how we form things, how we structure our society and our lives. Where it shows up in your personal chart will be an area of your life that's been being transformed and restructured as well. So that's always a good thing to get a private session with me around, and we can look and see how these transits affect you particularly, specifically. So also in Sag right now, besides the moon and the sun, we have Mercury. Mercury right now is at 19 degrees. So it's still considered conjunct the sun. And it's also conjunct the south node, which is at 19 degrees. So Mercury is right on the south node. The south node represents our collective karma, everyone on the planet. It's a point where we let go of things and release things. It's karmic. It's the karmic dump, where we clear out the karma and we let it go. With Mercury right there together with that, and it's a player in this eclipse too, because it'll be so close to the sun. There's something about communication. So again, the eclipse can bring surprise, unexpected things. So with Mercury there, we've already been having so much confusing press with the North Node in Gemini and the South Node in Sag. So the South Node in Sag also represents our collective beliefs, what we believe to be true. So that can even shift. Mercury rules the mind, it rules our communication. So you can have some super powerful communications this week with people that you love. You can have some, again, some download where your mind opens and you learn something new. You may have your beliefs actually altered or shift this week with an aha awakening. All of a sudden you thought something was true and then you're like, wait a minute. Maybe this is what's true. So there's some power players all there together in the skies in Sag. So it's just, there's more fuel on this bonfire of the eclipse there. Again, surprising communication, surprising, like you may out of the blue hear from someone. You can also have surprising things show up in the media because Mercury rules media and technology. It's also, technology, transportation. So all these things can be affected with, Mercury in the mix of the solar eclipse and the moon crossing the south node, the sun crossing the south node. Mercury will be crossing the south node later this week too. So um, I get a past life feel with that. I feel like there's past life energy, people that you've known before, like even remembering your mission, like what was it that I came here to do this lifetime? That can be some of the aha downloads, or just a clearer sense of your mission coming around this energy around the eclipse. And again, you'll be feeling this for days, weeks, and months to come. So this is super powerful stuff in the skies. Anytime a planet changes signs is a powerful shift in energy. So we have two outer planets that don't move very, very quickly, changing signs within 2 days of each other. And then they will be conjunct on the winter solstice. So there is a powerful energy happening next week around that, as well as they're together in the skies. You'll actually literally see them. If you look, they'll look like one bright star in the sky next week because they'll be so close together. They're already 1 degree apart. They're already very, very close. Okay. Another interesting thing about this week, right now we have Venus at 27 degrees of Scorpio. So she's in the last degrees of Scorpio. Venus represents our relationships, what we love, what we want to put our energy into. Juno, which represents the good wife in Greek mythology, Juno was Zeus's wife and she was super loyal to him, but she was kind of jealous and possessive. She was there for him always, no matter what he did. But she would slay the children of his mistresses. So she didn't play about setting boundaries. But in astrology, Juno can represent your partner or a marriage, or someone who's committed to you, relationship partner. So Juno right now, let's see, what is Juno doing, is at 28 degrees of Scorpio. So with Venus at 27, they're already conjunct. Venus will cross over Juno here in the next day or so. So that energy is happening around the solstice as well. And it's last degrees of Scorpio. So Scorpio is a very intuitive sign. It's the deep, dark waters. It's the secret keeper. So you may have secrets be revealed in these last degrees of Scorpio when Venus is there, particularly about your relationships. You can find out your partner's cheating or has been hiding or lying to you. That stuff can come up. Scorpio can be about setting boundaries. And so you may decide, enough of this, I'm done with this in terms of boundaries. But it also is a kismet energy around drawing in someone new, because Venus will be crossing over Juno, the good wife. Could be the good husband too. But so with these two together, there's this beautiful energy of drawing in new relationships. If you're ready for it, if you're wanting that in your life, you can definitely have your desire going into this eclipse that, yes, bring me my person, bring me my partner. It is sextile with this Jupiter Saturn piece. So Jupiter expands things with the Venus Juno thing. So again, that can just emphasize what I just told you even stronger. Saturn sets boundaries too, and that could be where like, no more, I'm done with this. So it can again be endings and beginnings, new beginnings in relationships of all sorts. And again, where this shows up in your chart will make a difference. If it shows up in your seventh house, you can really expect shifting going on there for sure. Anywhere it shows up, you could expect that. Relationships of all kinds, not just primary relationships, but again, with the Juno Venus piece close together, I feel like there's going to be a lot of new stories and stories ending around primary relationships. We have Mars finally going forward. It was retrograde for a while. It was stuck around 15 degrees of Aries. So right now, as I record this, is at 20 degrees of Aries. So it will be squaring Pluto for the third time this year next week. So I'll be talking about that next Sunday on my video. But right now, it's not squaring it yet. It's ready to move forward and take some action. And so we have the energy to put into things right now. And speaking of energy moving forward, we have Chiron, which is currently retrograde at 4 degrees of Aries. It will be moving forward this week. I believe it goes direct the day after the eclipse. And that's also when Venus changes signs. So again, all of this shifting and changing this week is powerful. So Chiron represents our wounded healer, particularly the early degrees of Aries. It's where we feel wounded about ourselves, where our self-esteem may be shot. The number 4 is a breakdown, breakthrough. So you can be having these aha moments around self-esteem, self-worth, how you value yourself, where you have felt wounded in terms of putting yourself out there in the world this week around the eclipse. That could be one of the insights that you have. And so as it starts to move forward, we can finally feel like we can start moving forward in our healing. You may be contemplating doing some shifting or changing that would indicate more healing for your life, like whether you're getting into recovery or you're going to go into therapy or you're going to start exercising regularly. Again, if you want to capitalize on this new moon energy, start a new routine tomorrow on Monday, and chances are you'll keep doing that new thing, that new routine for the next 6 months and beyond if you want as well. Okay, what else do I see going on? Okay, Black Moon Lilith. She is at 5 degrees of Taurus right now. So this represents where we have deep-seated fears. And it is conjunct Uranus. Uranus is at 7 degrees right now. And so they're 2 degrees apart. And this really exacerbates, like brings up the feels. Like Uranus is sudden, unexpected things. It's a spiritual planet. So if it knocks something down, it replaces it with something better pretty quickly. You're not leveled like Pluto can level you and just leave you be. But Black Lilith, so you can really be having your fears come to a head. And Black Lilith will move into 6 degrees, and Uranus is the only planet after Chiron goes direct this week. Uranus is the only planet left that's going to be retrograde. It actually goes direct in January. So this is another reason why January will feel like such a big shift by January, because we'll have Mars going into Taurus, Uranus going direct, and all the planets in the skies will be going direct. So it's a great energy for the new year of like all the planets moving forward. And we'll finally feel like, okay, now we can move forward. Now we know what to expect. You know, this year has been quite something. And I attribute it to the stellium that's been in Capricorn all year, the Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter conjunction in Capricorn, which hasn't happened for thousands and thousands of years. And so I knew heading into this year that we were headed into unprecedented times. I didn't know what that was going to look like or how that was going to show up. And then as soon as I heard the first reports of the health impact that this virus was having in Wuhan, I knew it was going to be a global pandemic and we were all going to end up shut down. And things have definitely shifted for all times. We will never go back to the way things were. This pandemic has changed us forever. Another thing, talking about timing and cycles. So Pluto and Jupiter coming together. No, Pluto, no, Jupiter and Saturn coming together this week, moving signs into Aquarius and being together on the winter solstice. These two come together every 20 years. So when they come together, they start a new 20-year cycle. So again, powerful, powerful week that we're heading into. And it also begins beyond a 20-year cycle. They will begin a 200-year cycle of coming together in air signs. So for the last 200 years, except for 1980, they have been coming together in earth signs. And before that, 200 years before that, they were coming together in fire signs. And the 200 years before that, they were coming together in water signs. So Aquarius represents technology as well as humanity. It's also aliens. Like, I would not be surprised if, while Saturn is transiting Aquarius, that we don't have contact that everybody knows about from alien life forms in other places, or even working with or in conjunction with aliens. Like it, and especially over the next 200 years, we definitely will be doing that. So there's all these, it's really the end of an era in so many ways, and the beginnings of new ones. So it's a really exciting time that we're changing history right now, and you can change your personal history in the middle of this. If you're fighting this, all these changes, and trying to just keep the status quo and want to go back to where you are, you're not getting the point that the planets are trying to teach you, which is this is a time of transformation and change. Change can feel super disconcerting when it's going down, but if you surrender to it and ride with it and listen to the download that you get personally, that your own inner voice, your own higher self is directing you to do, you'll know exactly what to be doing and how to be riding these waves. They can be super intensive. So we've got Neptune at 18 degrees of Pisces right now. The north and south nodes are at 19 degrees, so they're square. So there can be this nebulous confusion energy going in. Like, that's sort of the downside of Neptune, is confusion, delusion, addiction, checking out, not having the energy stuff, not being in your body, not being grounded. On the positive end of things, Neptune is the psychic radar. You can have psychic insights and downloads and vivid dreams. It's in Pisces. You can have spiritual revelations. So, but particularly with the communication, North Node in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, which is ruling our communication. We've been seeing it. Gemini is the twins. It can be the Jekyll Hyde, like showing one face and then another and not knowing what to believe. We definitely have two different stories that have been playing out in our media outlets over this last several months when the North Node has been in Gemini. We just don't know. And now with the square up with Neptune, we can really not know. Like, what? And also then with the square to the South Node, there can be a question of, again, I see it a time for past life insights to kind of filter up, but also to let go of beliefs that you may be having, you may have carried through multiple lifetimes, and then say, I'm not going to believe that anymore. That's not the truth. That's not what I want to believe. So there could be a lot of that energy going on this week as well, not knowing what to think. But the answers, I believe, are always to tune in to your own higher self. My whole reason behind Psyched Up is that I believe everyone has psychic abilities. We all are intuitive. It shows up in different ways for different people. And when you can learn how your own intuition speaks to you, then you can use that as your GPS system and be guided and carried along by your own intuition, which can always give you your guidance for this one day. It's kind of like the 12-step, one day at a time. Your higher guidance will calm down and give you the guidance for this one day. You may not know what to do tomorrow or the next day or next week or next month or next year, but you can always get that guidance today. One of the best ways to do that is through spiritual practices and meditation and chanting and prayer and anything that hooks you in quietly to your higher self. The mind is the biggest obstacle to listening to the intuitive voice. What we've been taught, what we think we know, what we believe, all this can block our ability to access the higher self and listen to the intuition and listen to the downloads that come through. Nighttime is a great time to get downloads and inspiration and information and to be directed by your higher self and your guides. One thing you might want to start doing on this new moon solar eclipse is programming, asking questions at night before you go to sleep. If you're wanting guidance or clarity around certain issues, offer that up in prayer, offer that up to your guides, to your higher self as you're going to sleep every night. It may take some time to keep doing that, just like it often takes some time to get the groove where you can actually have a meditation where your mind is quiet. It doesn't usually happen the first time you sit still and try to breathe. The mind will just be there. But if you keep on it, it does get easier, it does get clearer. You do start experiencing some relief from your brain, from your mind, from programming when you go into meditation or chanting or prayer. So I would just suggest trying that out as well. It's a great time. This solar eclipse in Sag is such a great time to initiate new spiritual practices, talk about a powerful cause to set during this eclipse period and this eclipse season. We just had a lunar eclipse at the end of November. It was a partial. It's, and full moons and lunar eclipses are more about releasing and letting go, and the new moon solar eclipses are more about initiating sparks and new things, especially in Sag is a fire sign. Sages love all people, and they love knowledge, and they love learning and connection. So I'm really excited about this solar eclipse and the new moon and the week ahead. The outer planets changing signs. Not only that, the personal planet of Venus is also changing signs this week. So to recap, solar eclipse, new moon on Monday, followed by Tuesday, we have Venus going into Sagittarius and Chiron going direct. And then Wednesday, it's a very spiritual day. The sun will be at 27 degrees. So it's kind of like, okay, take a break, integrate this. We'll still have Saturn and Jupiter at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So it also may be a Custer's last stand kind of time where we can see just the control issues come to a head this week. I'm really expecting some of that to go down. And then Thursday, we have Saturn entering into Aquarius. On Friday, Mars will be at 22 degrees of Aries. It's moving. Pluto's at 23, so that's considered a square. It'll be an exact square the following week, but we may see this square off between death and transformation and the war god, our ego, not really wanting to transform. That also could come up and be shown in the skies. We already have Eris, which is at 23 degrees, square Pluto right now. So Mars is going to be conjuncting Eris. So Eris is Aries' sister, and she's, the great awakener, and not afraid to fight for what she wants. And so this Mars getting closer with Eris, it can really be like tempers flaring and things coming to a head in that kind of way, especially with the square off with Pluto. So I'm hoping that doesn't show up as a major brouhaha out in the world, but those that are not doing their work and are prone to anger, they'll be acting out this week. Mark my words. And then, so that's the energy on Friday. And then Saturday, we have Jupiter going into Aquarius and the Sun and Mercury coming together. It's also a super powerful day. And then we'll have the final test of stuff with Saturn. Um, the sun is going to be at 29 degrees of Sag. So it's going to be wrapping up its lessons of Sagittarius and then moving into Capricorn. Black Lilith will conjoin Uranus next Sunday. So again, there could be sudden, unexpected things that you might be afraid of. My sense that it's more of like testing, a lot of testing, these 29-degree points, the sun at 29 degrees, Jupiter and Saturn at 29 degrees, Venus at 29 degrees. These are lots of tests this week. Did you learn the lessons? Did you learn the lesson of where to put your heart? Did you learn the lessons of what you're supposed to be looking at and what's supposed to be illuminated in your life? Did you learn the lessons of how you're supposed to be structuring or restructuring your life? Are you learning the lessons of what to put your beliefs, where to put your beliefs, and what to believe? Those are kind of the summation of the lessons this week. But so it should be a super interesting, eventful week, both personally and then out there in the world. So I am offering a special for my private clients, my private consultations during the month of December. I have a reduced priced fee going on. My normal rates for psychic readings are $280 for an hour or $70 for every 15 minutes. And during the month of December of 2020, I'm offering those rates for $200 an hour or $50 for every 15 minutes. So typically in an hour reading, I would start with your birth chart, which means I need to know your time and place of birth. And if you don't know your time, we can still look at a lot of the factors in your chart and how the transits may be affecting certain things. We just won't have the whole picture, but I can still look at the day you were born and find out where most of the planets are on that day and have some sense of what signs they're in and what kind of themes that shows up for your life. So that I look at the birth chart and what I see pros and cons, like what were your lessons coming in, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and then we look at the current transits and how those are affecting you. And then I move into the tarot cards. I use a non-traditional deck and I channel with them. I'm a channel and I'm an empath and I'm a medium. So even when I'm looking at the chart, I can just get information coming through. I can feel things that are going on with you. When I get to the tarot reading, I usually start with a general reading without you telling me anything, and we'll just go and see what the cards are saying, what my guides are saying, what your loved ones may want to say if they're around. And then we can move into specific questions that you might have, and then specify your readings around your specific questions. If you can form a question, I can do a reading for you on your question. And when we look into the future, there's no predestined events in your life. There are set up certain things, like it was destined for these planets to be moving into different signs, and that will be affecting you. But I believe we are given free will, and that what we do with the cards that we've been dealt, as it were, makes the difference. What causes you create your future. You're creating your future by what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're believing, what you're saying right now today. So when we look into the future in readings, we're looking at a trajectory based on what's going down right now in your life. And I can really usually tell where you're blocking yourself, where others may be blocking you, where there's wonderful things going on, not so wonderful things going on. You get a full picture deal with me when you get a reading. So if you're interested in getting a reading with me, I'm doing my readings over the telephone or over Zoom right now. So you can contact me at my email, which is bringoutthebuddha@gmail.com. And I'll spell that out for you. That's BRINGOUTTEBUDDHA@gmail.com. And I'll put that in the comments below this video as well. If you'd like to make a donation to my page, you can also do that using the same email through PayPal, or you can donate through Venmo. And my you can get me there at Karen, Karen hyphen Marie, MARIE hyphen 1616. That's my Venmo account if you'd like to make a donation or tip me if you've been enjoying these videos. I really appreciate if you're still watching for your long attention, for tuning in regularly. I've been getting really lovely comments and feedback from my regular clients and also those online. So I appreciate all the feedbacks. If there's something particular you want me to delve into one of these Psyched Up Sundays, just let me know. Be glad to hear your insights, your guidance around what you think I should do differently. I'm getting my guidance on a weekly basis about what to do, what not to do, what to focus on. So that's how I'm gearing these. So it's been such a pleasure to read for you guys today. Peace.